So does your funding allow for like more than just your rent?
Yeah, we get funding. We get a small bit of funding from the council, which pretty much covers our rent and most of our kind of general costs, like electricity and things.
Yeah, sure.
We then get funding from Creative Scotland, which varies every year. So we have to put into all the access spaces in Scotland, apart from transmission, are in this one pool. So we have to write an application, and basically, they get distributed on. So you put in a budget, and they'll say yes or no, depending on what everyone else has put as well. So it's kind of done that way. So we are still in this weird competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Is transmission like the equivalent of like the Arts Council's national portfolio? Like,
yeah, so they're in the same lines as like CCA and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
They are getting put back into our pool supposedly this year, which they're worried about, and so is everyone else. Because they get.
Because presumably the pool gets smaller.
Yeah, and they currently get over triple our budget. So for us, it's quite like, whoa, like that's quite a big chunk of money. Because their transmission, they'll always get what they ask for, basically, which is quite a problem for everyone else in terms of what. Yeah, but we get to our budget. So this year we reshuffled it to try and get more money, not just for our program, for like curatorial development and getting books, getting resources, and also having money to help people like members or artists in the city do things, so they're not part of our bigger programme, but to still have the money to make work, not in the way that we're a funding body, but if it relates to the space or a show that's on, that so it becomes a bit more, we can't support you fully, but we'll definitely try and cover your costs, so you're not going to get a fee, but we definitely want to support both. Like we need to put on interesting art and bring out different artists into the city to help stimulate things. Like we acknowledge that we can't just show Dundee artists, otherwise we'll probably run out within like 6 months. But we still want to support people in Dundee to make work.
And we want that discussion, we want that local sort of feedback to the show.
Yeah.
And we don't want people to end up out of pocket for that.
Yeah. So trying to put all that into practice at the moment. Being a lot clearer about curating shows in advance, well not curating, but having to curate like curatorial theme.
Yeah.
So that they can an arc,
Sure.
so that members can start to think, oh, maybe I want to make work in relation to that show. Maybe I'll show that whether it's in here or whether it's off site. Kind of there's a member space.
There's a kind of dialogue. Between that.
Yeah, and I think we've decided that that's still kind of proposal based, so the committee will still discuss whether they think, like, it's not just like you remember, you propose that, yes, it's still, because we are in some ways more responsible for our funding and making sure how it's spent, because at the end of the day, James as treasurer, it's in his name. If that's not seen as charitable, then it's his problem, if that makes sense. But still, which is why we have this weird takeover thing, which is kind of like, you just need a space. You don't need money or anything else. Then the space is free on these dates in the year. Come and use it. And that's not a committee. There's no discussion about what you're putting on. It's just is there a space in the calendar? Yes. But you need to give the space back in the way that you found it. Kind of discussion. So
and also just sort of with our discretion over like, have we used the space 8 times in the last year?
Yeah.
Like no, someone else needs to go to use it today. Like
So trying to get that balance between how much the committee does, how much is actually just a space to use, kind of.
And so is that like that pool of people that might use the space? Is that generally like the members, the membership? Is that what they're called?
We do have members. It's a weird one because we kind of like we have members. We have people who aren't officially members in terms of paid their fiver. But are more involved in the show than anyone else.
Generally think of them as sort of stakeholders, the people who are interested parties. Who our actual paid membership may not really be stakeholders annually. They may be sort of stakeholders for a tiny little portion of the year.
Like when our membership can pay their fiver. So it's trying to, I guess, push that maybe if you sign up a member, maybe it means something else. Maybe it's saying that you want to work with this ethos and this. So trying to address that, and maybe that isn't to do with the money. Like we're not interested. The reality is that money that we get for membership probably pays tiny part of like maybe the booze for every opening.
Yeah.
Not even that probably.
No.
So it's like not a lot. But just thinking, okay, it's not that, maybe membership is something else. But we have to have a membership because we're a charity. It's that weird, like, we can't get rid of it and just say anyone in this like city, because it affects our charity status, so we need it, we need that definition. But what that definition is up for people to decide upon. Like, if they just want to come to a gallery space and see a show and leave, and just come and put a show up once a year for membership, then that's their choice, and that's fine. We can't force more agency onto people in the city, but maybe, like, well, I guess we're going to try.
I'm trying to push past this idea, sort of, it's quite a consumerist, like, sort of take on the art world. You come to events, you watch it, you consume it, and then you bugger off.
Yeah.
Which is, like, just isn't healthy for you as an artist or someone that is part of the city anyway. Like, you know, if you just, because you lose that sort of critical edge as well if you're just doing that all the time.
Of course.
You stop.
And it puts the committee back into a kind of, I guess, hierarchical role that we don't want to be in.
Yeah, sure.
But we can't not be in if no one else wants to wants to be involved in the running of the space. It's that weird kind of like, if you continue, like, not trying to say that members have to, but the possibilities there if you want to, and we welcome it. Because otherwise we're always going to be here, because that's where you're putting us, and we can't not be, because the committee will always make space exist. We haven't had discussions of points yet. Well, maybe we just let it die, but like, maybe that's what it needs. But that's kind of like, I think that's personally, you get past it and think, oh no, there's definitely value in this.
There's so much value, even just from like an incredibly selfish point of view. As an artist, there's things that I really want, like that I just need from a city, like a crit night's one of the things that I'm just like, I've left uni, don't have a studio, I need to sit and chat about art with someone just so I can like push forward. So just from a purely selfish point of view, that's, I think, just what I'm trying to do. Even if they don't want it.
So our audience is generally people in Dundee or people who come into the city to see art. We're trying to, Tin Roof's quite new. They definitely have them now. They've been kind of umming and ahhing whether or not it's space, or each studio, or collective. I think they finally decided now the collective, that's that. But they definitely have a community around them, and for a while they were in tension with, like, they want funding, we have funding, there's only one lot of funding for Dundee, kind of this weird thing, which meant a lot of the time Tin Roof people don't come here. And we're trying to break that down, and I know, like, we're an outside space that includes all the other, like, collectives in the city, like, we're
other
not
studios, other things.
But it almost becomes territorial, like you see where you are.
I'm trying to get rid of that. So that's kind of, so in summer we collaborated with Tin Roof on some of being like, okay, we're not in competition with you, we acknowledge that we have funding, you don't work with us on that, and we'll fund it, because that's what we're here for, we're here to support artists, not to compete with you, kind of idea. So we're trying to break that down, and I think it's working slowly.
It is, yeah.
It's just
taking a while.
Yeah.
But everything does.